Tech Tales 9, this is Tech Tales 9. Tech Tales is where I tell stories keyed off of my actual time slips of work that I've done recently for real world clients. My clients are typically small business offices. So here I'm going to pick up where I left off. This time slip is from April 15th, last Thursday. Now I've talked several times about these government subsidized apartment buildings for seniors and disabled people. And that's just a long thing to say. So I'm going to start calling them HUD Building 1, HUD Building 2, and HUD Building 3 to make it quicker. So this one is HUD Building 2. And I was in response to a request from the administrator, I created a PDF from an Amazon order that I ordered printers for their office, and they were charged directly to their credit card. So she had found the credit card charge and didn't know what it was for, so she recollected that it was an Amazon charge. She recollected that she had me ordered the printers and had forgotten or didn't keep track of that it was on their credit card. So I made a PDF of that and emailed it to her, and then created new Microsoft 365 accounts for a staff member who is moving from HUD Building 2 to HUD Building 3, and that meant it was going to be a different domain name. So I created the new account for the new location she's going to. They wanted to keep her old account for HUD Building 2. And then there was a new office person being added to HUD Building 2. So I created a Microsoft 365 account for that person. Now I created those accounts without licenses until I go to configure those computers for those new positions for those people. And then also we discussed the internet connection status. Now, I previously reported that they had a problem with a network switch, and it was holding okay up to that point. So that was a 28-minute charge. Then the CPA's office that I've talked about many times is speaking to the senior partner. They're actually equal partners, but the senior partner has been partner longer than the junior partner. A phone support regarding unable to launch QuickBooks. Now at this point in time I wasn't at my computer that I could connect remotely to him, so I talked him through using Task Manager to end task on residual QuickBooks services. Sometimes when you exit QuickBooks, or if QuickBooks crashes in particular, there will be some residual QuickBooks components still open in Task Manager, and you have to go in task on those before QuickBooks will relaunch. Then going to the pest control company that I've spoken of before, and this was an on-site service. I configured one of their computers for printing to a Kyocera printer, and this was one of the co-owners of the business, I guess I'll call them, management level, and he had not been printing to the Kyocera before that. And there was an issue with getting it to do that because his private public network setting for his computer was on the public setting. When Windows updates come along, sometimes it changes the network from a private style network to a public network, and in that case you can't do printer sharing or file sharing. Now you can if you make changes to the firewall settings, but that's not a favorable way to go. So it's actually the firewall settings when you're set on a public network that typically block file and printer sharing. So made that reset. Oh, then I went ahead and tried to print to the Kyocera, and boom, blue screen of death. And I have a couple of videos on my channel about the blue screen of death in relation to printing to Kyocera printers, and that was from a Windows update that occurred in March. And this computer had not yet received the Windows update for April. So it still had that flawed March update that causes blue screen of death when trying to print to Kyocera. So I uninstalled that and then installed the April update. You know what, I think, did I actually go, I think I once, no, I did remove the March update, and then I went ahead and installed the April update. I think it's quite likely that if I would have just installed the April update, it would have worked fine, because that should fix the March update problem. I haven't tested that yet, though. Configured and tested printing. Let's see, I'll say then for another person in the office, I configured printing for him, also to the Kyocera. I checked first to see if he had the flawed March update, and he did not. He had already received the April update. So I configured him for printing to the Kyocera, and it worked fine. Well, I also had to reset him from public to private network, because that was also incorrect. And then, let's see, continuing. Oh, then I needed to configure that computer for unattended remote access so I could provide support to that computer. And that was actually a new computer that they had purchased, and that staff member had done the initial configuration himself. I think there's about 3 or 4 people working in this office that are all members of the family that owns the business. So do I go on to the next one? Oh, well, the next one I've already really covered. Okay, I mentioned, I think, in the last session about the QuickBooks condense operation, and that I had to remove the connection to the bank account and credit card authorization. So that one was already covered. I think that's good for this time. I hope that was useful. Catch you later. Have a great day. Goodbye.